Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in our departmental honors info session. Just wanted to leave a little disclaimer. We are recording this session so that we can ultimately use it again and again, over and again for students who are interested in our departmental honors program. First of all, thank you again so much for being on time. We really appreciate all of your interest in our departmental honors program. It's a really great program, and we're going to learn a lot of different things about it today. I'm just going to do a quick introduction. My name is Alex Luong. I am one of the undergraduate advisors here with the Department of Political Science. Any questions you have relating to anything relating to your undergraduate degree, to the honors program, to anything at all, really, you can come to me and I'm more than happy to help you out. But enough about me. Today, we're primarily going to be focusing on the departmental honors program. And today we have a special guest with us, Professor Scott James. Professor Scott James is our departmental honors advisor. He's also a latter faculty, an associate professor here with the Department of Political Science. He's actually, he came to UCLA. He's written a book called Parties, Presidents in the State, Electoral College Competition, Party Leadership, and Democratic Regulatory Choice, and was awarded the APSA 2001 Gladys Kammerer Award for the best political science publication in the field of US national policy. So when it comes to political science, Professor James is one of the best. He knows what he's talking about, and it is exactly why he is actually one of our leaders when it comes to the departmental honors program. So thank you so much for taking the time to come speak with us, Professor James. Really, really appreciate it, hearing it directly from the advisor. So we're going to go ahead. Yes, of course. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. We put together just a short PowerPoint presentation for everyone to actually look at, but a majority of what's going to be going on is what Professor Scott James will be talking about. And we will go ahead and get into that now. So again, welcome and thank you so much for joining us in our presentation.
All right, well, thank you very much, Alex. That was more of an introduction than I was expecting, and I appreciate it. So I want to keep this as useful as I can for you guys who might be thinking about the political science honors program. So I've got some general remarks I want to comment on. Some general statements about the program, who's a good fit for the program. I'll talk about the requirements for the program. And I want to talk about some things that I think you guys can think about now if you're interested in entering the program next year, things you can do to get ready to maximize your chance of eligibility and your chance of succeeding if you in fact get in. And then I'll talk a little bit about what I think you can get out of a program like this. So let's just begin on some basics. So not only have I've been the director of our program for a couple of years now. I teach the seminar in research design that is the gateway course for entry into this program. So I've had a couple of rounds now with students who enter and go through the process, and I have a pretty good sense, I think, of what it takes to succeed in this program. And so I want to talk about things you can do to maximize your success, both in entering the program and in executing at the highest level. So honors program. Who's it for? It's for poli-sci majors who are about to enter their senior year and who have a track record of superior performance, both as a major in political science and in their general studies. One thing you should be aware about the honor program is that it's a full year process. You're committing to a year, and there's no sort of fast forwarding that process. Some have tried to ask if they can, they're graduating early. Is there anything they can do to wrap up early? And the answer is always no. It's a commitment to a full year process. So please be aware about that. It typically begins, it almost always begins in the junior year, in the spring of your junior year, with the seminar that I offer on research design. And it's going to culminate in a 50-page honors thesis. That is to say, a piece of original scholarly research that you will craft, you will design, you will execute, that will be due at the end of the winter quarter in your senior year. I think of the program as best suited for someone planning on going on to graduate school in political science or an allied discipline in the social sciences, or maybe someone who's thinking about a profession where research and writing is a critical aspect of the job. And maybe the most tangible benefits you'll get from this program at the end of it is the creation of a high quality research paper, one that you can use as part of an admission process to graduate school or some other kind of interview process as part of a job you're seeking. But if that's not who you are, if you're not really interested in going to graduate school in political science, let's say, or something like that, I think the honors program also offers a kind of unique, call it a capstone experience. For your time as a UCLA poli-sci student, it gives you an opportunity maybe, to sort of peer under the hood a little bit and see firsthand what the scholarly process looks like, to cultivate a relationship beyond a classroom setting with a faculty advisor, and see what that process looks like, how it's done, to feel it from the inside. Let's talk a little bit about requirements. Let me see, where are my notes here? One of the requirements for admission to the honors program in political science is successfully completing this research design seminar that I told you about. All of the students in the spring quarter 191H seminar are honors hopefuls. They are trying to get into the honors program, and part of the basis on which we will decide to admit them is their performance in 191H. It'll introduce you to elements of research design. It'll help you in the development of ideas and a plan of action for executing a research thesis. 191H is only taught once a year in the spring. It's a spring quarter class, and you have to receive a letter grade of A- or better in order to be admitted to the honors program. So it's a serious entry point for the honors program. So that's one of the requirements. It's not the only requirement, though. There are several others. And here I'm just ticking off information that you can grab off of our department website, so I won't linger on these a whole lot. But other requirements for the program include the completion of 5 upper division poli-sci courses with a GPA in the major of 3.5, an overall GPA in your own overall UCLA GPA of 3.5. Now, this isn't a requirement, but it sure ought to be in some ways. And I'll just put it this way. The more experience you have in conducting original research, the easier time you're going to have adjusting to the expectations of the honors program. It is something that most students aren't really ready for. They've done term papers, they've done some research, 12 to 15 page research papers for their class. This is something different, and I'll talk more about that as we proceed. But the more experience you have in conducting original research, the easier time you'll have adjusting to the expectations of the program. Other requirements. In both the fall quarter and the winter quarter of your senior year, you'll be enrolling in a 4-unit individual study, poli-sci 198, where you're going to work with your advisor on various aspects of your research project. Now, I can't say in too much detail what the content of those individual studies are, because as the name suggests, they're individualized. It will be based upon a contract you draw up with your faculty advisor based on the needs of your particular project and where you are in what stage you're at in the development of that project. Couple of other final things. Honor students will meet with me as a group a couple of times during the winter and fall and winter quarters of your senior year. It's for me to track your progress, and it's for you to share your ideas and your strategies with the cohort of honor students that you're a member of, just to connect, see what's going on, see what they're doing, see if you can generate any ideas that might be helpful for you. And then lastly, and I would argue in some ways, most importantly, every honors student is required to obtain a faculty advisor to oversee your thesis development and the writing process attached to it. And I'll have a lot more to say on that in a minute. But let me just conclude these opening remarks by observing that the honors program is a challenge. It's meant to be a challenge. It may not be for everyone. It requires a commitment of time and energy on top of your normal school workload, whatever jobs you might have, what other kinds of activities you're engaged in life. It therefore requires determination, focus, a strong work ethic, good organizational skills, and it will be stressful. You're going to feel vulnerable sometimes. You might even occasionally doubt that you can do this. It's something I think you want to know in your bones that you really want to do. But it's also a tremendous source of satisfaction and accomplishment. Only about 15 or 20 students will complete the program each year. So you can take a kind of pride in knowing that you've done something only a few of your peers have even thought to do, let alone accomplished. And you'll have a clearer sense of whether, academic research is something you have a taste for, an appetite for, whether it's something you might see in your future. Now, preparing for the honors program, things you can think about now. If you are thinking about entering the honors program, I would argue you do need to start preparing now. Why? Because, as I said, one of the conditions for entry into 191H, the research design seminar, is that you have to secure a faculty advisor as a condition of enrollment. And securing a faculty advisor is not an easy task. You might argue it should be, but it's not. Why is it not? Because, first of all honors advisors have to be permanent faculty in political science. And you take a mixture of courses from different kinds of faculty. You take permanent faculty, you have visiting professors, you have adjuncts, you have graduate students who teach classes. You need an honors advisor who is a permanent member of the faculty in political sciences. And so what does that mean? I want to underscore 2 points here. First of all, your faculty advisor must be in the Department of Political Science. Nothing against economists and sociologists and anthropologists and other disciplines, but this is an honors program in political science. And your advisor must be either a member of the Department of Political Science or have a joint appointment with political science and another discipline. The second thing is they must be permanent faculty. What does permanent faculty mean? Sometimes we say ladder track faculty. Sometimes we say tenure track faculty. For our purposes, I think the only thing you need to understand is that when we talk about permanent faculty, we're talking about people who've been hired on the basis of the quality of their research. So it's kind of our effort at quality control here. It's our way of knowing that you're in good hands, that the person overseeing your thesis has been trained in political science, and that they have a track record of conducting and executing high quality research. Who are permanent faculty and who isn't? Well, a list of our permanent faculty can be found on our department website. And so you just need to go to the department website, look up faculty, and it will indicate who is a member of the permanent faculty and who isn't. And that you can use that as your cue, your decision who you want to work with. Now, part 3 here, securing an advisor. What can I do to secure an advisor? So let's say you've been on the website, you have an idea who you would like to oversee your thesis. Does that mean they will oversee your thesis? Of course not. All faculty have the right to say no. And that's the big problem here for you guys. You have to figure out a way to get your desired advisor to yes, to commit to you, to commit to your project. And so that takes work on your part. It's almost the first test, if you will, of whether the honors program is right for you, your ability to take the reins here and go out and secure a busy member of our permanent faculty and get them to commit to you and to your project. So how do you get them to say yes? How do you get them to commit to you and your project? What do? I've got 3 words for you: relationships, relationships, relationships. Relationships. The typical professor, before they are willing to commit to you, is going to want to know several things. They're going to want to know, do you share the same research interests that they have? Are they investing in someone who's curious in the same kinds of questions I am? They want to know that you're a capable student. They want to know that you're self-motivated. They want to know that you start what you, that you finish what you start. They want to know that you can take direction. And they want to know if you're someone they can get along with for a year. A year is a long time. Professors don't get any real extra credit from either our department or from the university for mentoring honor students. If they agree to do it, it's because they've taken an interest in you. You've made it interesting to them to commit to you. They become invested in your success. And all that means that you have to cultivate a relationship with your desired advisor. It means taking classes from them. It means performing well in those classes. It means showing up at office hours, not with the TA, but with the professor of record, engaging them in conversation about the course, about their research. It's about signaling early on to this professor that you are thinking about the honors program, and you sure would be honored if they would agree at some point to think about being your advisor. You don't have to get them to say yes right away, but lay the groundwork. Get them thinking that maybe, this is a possibility. So you want to do your homework about your faculty member too. Go on the website, see what they've published, what they research on. Maybe read an article or a chapter of a book on what they've written, and come prepared to talk about their ideas. All of this doesn't guarantee you that you'll get to yes, but at least you'll know that you did everything you could to get there. Sometimes faculty are overcommitted already. They've already committed to other graduate students. They may be off the next year and they don't want to, they're going to be doing their own research and they don't want extra commitments. Which reminds me, all of this said, you should have backup plans too. If this advisor doesn't work out, who would be the secondary advisor I would want to oversee my project? Who would be another person? Have a backup plan just in case. In terms of practical things you can do, I'm pitching these comments to those of you who are sophomores now, maybe freshmen. But as you approach your junior year, think about the courses you'll be taking. Think strategically about them. Populate your classes with those taught by permanent faculty. And if there are particular faculty who you really want to work with, take a couple of classes or more with them, or maybe take one class. This is really what I would recommend. This is for those of you who are a little more ambitious. Take a class from them and follow up on that class by asking if you can do an individual study with them. That will just be you and that individual then. You'll get a chance to establish a relationship. You might work on a project that will become the basis of your senior thesis. And if you've got a faculty person who's invested that much time in your project, it's already got their stamp of approval, you've got it developed, it's just that much easier to get them to yes. Finally, and I'll stop my remarks here. What do I think you get out of participation in the honors program? First of all, if you do it right, you will turbocharge your research skills. You'll learn to ask original questions. That is to say, not original from the perspective of other scholars. They go, oh, I have to think about that. It pertains to my research, and I have to account for what this individual has said if I want to continue on with my research. So you'll learn to ask original questions. You'll learn to situate your ideas, your explanations in conversation with other scholars who conduct similar types of research. And if you're doing empirical research, and most of you will, you'll learn to translate sometimes difficult concepts into knowable, measurable variables, and you'll learn techniques of analysis that can aid you in testing your arguments against real data. Second, you'll learn how to organize and execute a large, high-quality piece of writing. Writing a 50-page paper is nothing like writing a 7 to 10-page paper, or even a 12 to 15-page paper. It requires a different kind of organization and structure that's learned. Third, you'll get to learn from the inside what scholarly research is all about, and whether a career in this type of field is a right fit for you. You'll acquire a greater confidence that you can accomplish any difficult task that you set your sights on. Fifth, you'll walk away with a kind of pride that you're one of only a handful of your graduating class that was able to accomplish this really difficult task. And for those of you who are certain that you'll be going on to graduate school, maybe in political science, you're going to come away from the process with a much clearer sense of what graduate training entails, what will be expected of you at that next stage in your career development, and what kind of training you're going to need to accomplish the research goals you have in mind. So just to wrap up my remarks then, on my first day as a graduate student many, many years ago, a professor, Jim DiNardo, spoke to the incoming class on that first day. And he said to us, you know what the difference between undergraduates and graduate students is? You know what the difference is? And we all sort of looked at each other and said, oh, I don't know, age, what could it be? And he said, the answer is this. Undergraduates, he said, consume knowledge. Graduate students produce knowledge. Undergraduates consume knowledge. Graduate students produce knowledge. So being in the honors program is a little bit like being a graduate student. And if you want to explore the process by which scholars produce new knowledge, then the honors program in political science just might be a good fit for you. At least I hope so. So anyway, thank you. I'm going to stop at that point. I'll turn the show back over to Alex.
Yeah, Professor James, thank you so much for all that great information. I know, our time is a little bit limited here, but there are a few Q&A questions that I have that I wanted to bring up to your attention. Some of it you may have gone over just a little bit throughout our presentation, but some of it would require a little bit more depth. So one of the questions would be, would you suggest that doing the honors program is, would you suggest the honors program if this student is considering law school?
It really depends on would I suggest it as somehow easing the entry or facilitating the entry into law school? Not necessarily. There are certainly scholars in our department who work on areas of the law, both American law and comparative law. Yes, I mean, there are allied skill sets in analyzing information, writing it up and such. So yes, it certainly wouldn't undercut your efforts to get into law school. I don't know that it's the first thing that would come to mind, there are other things one can do if one wants to develop a scholarly piece of writing. You can do an individual study with a particular faculty mentor you have. If you're interested in going to law school, you might even be able to find somebody in the law school itself to do independent study with and spend time working on something that's more directly related to what your goals are. But I wouldn't exclude the honors program. I'm sure a lot of our honors students have gone on to law school. It's the best answer I think I can give to that.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Professor James. The next question is, I think something that I might be able to answer, and is the 191 honors course a hard requirement for spring junior year? And I think if the question by hard, you mean like it's an absolute requirement, then yes, absolutely, that is a requirement. There's no way around that requirement if I'm not mistaken, right, Professor James?
Yes, and the spring is hard too. It's offered once a year in the spring.
Right. So you have to be in that class if you want to join the honors program eventually.
Correct.
The second question is kind of like a follow-up question to that. It says, I'm a transfer student coming in my junior year. When should I take the 191 honors course? And I believe it is the exact same answer, right? Spring of their junior year.
Spring of your junior.
Awesome. This next question
now, I will say that transfer students have an additional challenge. You lose me.
Sorry, Professor James, are you still there? The last thing I think we heard was transfer students may have an additional challenge.
Yes, just because they will come into the process never having taken a course from a permanent faculty member. So it means that you need to get up and running very quickly because you still, to be a part of the process, have to enter the 191H in the spring of your junior year. It's that one of the reasons we're doing this video is to be able to put it up online for those transfer students who might be thinking about the honors program and who want all the information they can get. We'll give you some strategies for doing that, but you need to be thinking as you select your courses in the fall of your junior year about permanent faculty, about those who you might want to be your advisor, and to start to cultivate those relationships now.
Wonderful, beautifully said, Professor James. This next question, I think I can answer this one, which is, what is the difference between the UCLA honors program and the UCLA political science honors program? So each department here at UCLA, not all of them, but most of them have a departmental honors program, which is exactly what we're talking about. It's a program that will most likely require some sort of project, and it's normally about a year long. And then you not only gain that experience, but you also get it notated on your diploma and your transcript. There are other honors programs here on campus, like Latin honors or the actual UCLA honors program, but for the sake of time, if you wanted to learn more about those things, there's plenty of information on UCLA's website. If you just do a simple UCLA honors search, there's an actual website that splits up all the differences. So I would encourage you to find that webpage, and we'll also leave it on our actual chat. So I wanted to spend the time that we have with Professor James answering these two final questions. One of them is, would a statistical background be best for conducting the type of research that you would do in this honors program, Professor James?
Not necessarily. Your methodology is a function of the questions you're asking and the answers you're trying to get. That's one of the misconceptions of the process. Yes, if you're doing multi-case analysis and you're trying to sort of figure out causes and effects, and you're trying to control for different kinds of factors that might be influencing the outcome you're interested in, statistical techniques, multivariate techniques may be exactly what you're looking for. But many honor students do case studies, comparative case studies, where they're looking not so much at cause and effect, but looking at the process by which causes lead to particular outcomes, lead to effects. So they're process tracing, and that involves very close studies of particular cases. So the methods you choose have to be appropriate to the questions you're asking and the kinds of answers you seek, and that will determine what strategies, what kinds of methodological strategies you'll take. But I'll say this, If you've got a strong background in statistics and you're doing something that involves statistical analysis, you will have a comparative advantage, because not a lot of students come into the honors program with a highly developed training in statistical analysis.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much. And we have one question. After meeting with advisors, will an advisor be able to get an idea for our desired focus of research and be able to suggest specific faculty to reach out to if it comes to that?
Now, is that me, the advisor?
You know, based off of the question, it sounds like maybe you as the advisor, or maybe if they found a faculty advisor that they might want to work with, but maybe that advisor would want to, defer them or refer them to another advisor who might be a little bit more fitting for their research interests.
I mean, I suppose that's possible. I guess what I want to do is put the ball back in the court of the person asking the question. I think it's important for you to know what your research interests are, and then to go online to our department website, where you have descriptions of all the faculty and their research interests, and do the work for yourself of figuring out, who maps onto my interests, who would I like to who would I like to be my advisor? I think that's the best way to do it. Yes, if you're still not sure, yes, talk to someone. You can talk to me. You can talk to other faculty members who you're taking courses with in the areas that you're interested in. If you've got particular areas of interest, you're probably taking courses in them. So talk to the faculty person who you're taking those courses from, and ask them if they can suggest other courses or suggest advisors, people who might be good advisors for the kinds of things you're interested in.
Thank you so much, Professor James. And we just had one more last quick question here. I think I can take the first part of it, and maybe you could provide a little bit more insight. But one of the requirements to the Departmental Honors Program is taking the 191H course, as we talked about, but also 5 upper division classes here at UCLA that are political science classes with at least a 3.5 GPA. The question is, can 191H be a part of those 5 upper division courses that they must take?
And I think the answer is no. We want 5 substantive classes in political science. We want to be assured that you've got some minimum base of substantive knowledge in political science that you can then build upon when you turn your task to the process of coming up with an original research question.
I see, definitely. And would that rule be a little bit more flexible for transfer students, or would that be?
I would say no. Where the flexibility is that we don't require 5 upper division courses as a condition of entry into 191H. It's conditioned into the program, which means you've got until the end of spring quarter to have your 5 classes. So that strikes me as fairly doable. That's where I think we have flexibility.
Right, I see. So in other words, if you're a transfer student and you already took 3 classes, but in the spring you're taking 191H, you should still take an additional 2 upper division classes before you will get accepted into the departmental honors program during that spring. Definitely.
Because you will petition for admission after the spring quarter is over, or at the end of the spring quarter. So you will have a chance during that spring quarter to take a couple of extra classes.
Wonderful. Well, I think that concludes our Q&A. And if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Go check out our departmental website. We have all the information that we talked about just now and then some on our departmental honors page. If you're curious, just Google search UCLA Political Science Departmental Honors. It should be the first link, or send us an email directly. Again, Professor James, thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for joining us here. We're gonna have to close off just due to the time. And thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful night and enjoy the rest of your week and spring quarter, okay? Thank you.